Hello everybody, episode 4. So, I'm not gonna lie, I woke up very hungover. You see, the Argentinians drink this thing called Fernet, and it is rough on its own. And they put it with Coca-Cola. Now, I can't stand Coca-Cola, but you're drinking with the locals and you try the local stuff. So I don't know whether I was so not the best the next day because of all the sugar, or whether it was the Fernet or the beer mixing it all. Anyway, no regrets. It was an incredible night. And I slept all the way through this morning until, not this morning, the morning I'm talking about, until 2:30, I think, in the afternoon. So yeah, obviously body needed it for sure, because that's very, very unlike me. So I woke up, obviously breakfast was very much not available anymore. It was going more towards siesta time again. So I was kind of like, where am I going to go to find food? Oh, well, this is what happens. Just be grateful that you had the incredible night that you did, and that you are going to go and explore this amazing city. There was not a cloud in the sky, which to me just makes vibrancy even more powerful. Anyway, coffee. I wrote that poem that I read in my last one. And yeah, I probably should have saved that for the beginning of this one, but never mind. So wrote that poem, and I then was like, you know what, I'm going to go and do the hop on and hop off bus thing tomorrow. I'm not in, I just want to go and ground and find a park and maybe walk around for a bit and sober up. Anyway, so took a huge bottle of water with me, and I found the park, which was only like 10 minutes walk. I sat there and I grounded for a while, and I was like, Mother Dragon, I do not apologize for what I did, because I met beautiful people, but I am asking for the energy from you to enable me to actually go and explore this beautiful city today. So I did a bit of meditation, and I felt a lot better afterwards. Anyway, I got up, I started to walk, and I just trusted my feet. There was lots more occasions of where I had to go to the shops with people. Again, don't have to, wanted to. And I'd been told that Argentina was just full of meat eaters, right? So I was really blown away when I found quite a lot of signage for veganism. And then I was like, oh, this is, maybe there's a big change happening here. Here I was seeing a few families that were on the street. And then I found this bakery. And something was just like, you've got to go in there. It was a vegan bakery. So I was like, I have to go and see this. And I walked in there, and he spoke a little bit of English. He had the most amazing blue eyes. I was like, you are my soul brother for sure. You're feline. Anyway, I handed over my money, and he saw my tattoos, and he was covered as well. And we started talking, and he was telling me about his, prayers for people to take to veganism, just to not necessarily always for activism, but also, to change just their mindset on things. So it was a really cool conversation, and we had this moment together where we were just like, let's just pray for some change and the raising of the consciousness of the people of Buenos Aires, and that more and more vegan shops can come in and be allowed to come in, and that they will embrace this. So I bought a shitload of bread off of him, and then I was like, right, that's cool. Let's go and find some people to give this beautiful product to. And while I was in the shop, he gave me so much to try. So I was like, yeah, it was incredible pastries, really, really, really amazing pastries. See, this is a thing I found when I was walking around Buenos Aires. There is so much culture there, because there's such a mix of cultures there. So you can pretty much get anything that you want. Although, bear in mind, if you have sushi in Argentina, it is done with cream cheese, but I'll cover that in a couple of other episodes. So yeah, here I am. I'm leaving the vegan shop, and I've got this bag full of bread, and straight away I'm just like, I see this family that's on the in a shop doorway. People were literally walking over them. Their kids were just playing on the street. And so I was like, well, they seem like an amazing, start to my day if I can help them. So I went and I handed them some bread rolls. There was like this vegan cheese bread thing. So I just I gave that out, and then continued to distribute this bread along the way. And it was really nice to know that there was, this was pure, wholesome food. There was no sugar involved. Everything was as healthy as it probably could be. So it was nice to be able to, hand that out rather than sugary drinks or anything else, and plastic bottles of water and just things like that. So I kept walking, and on my mission to find people, I just ended up in the most amazing place. I was in awe of these buildings, these incredible, beautiful buildings that were just so well looked after. The balconies, like people talk about the balconies of Paris, and I've been to Italy and I've seen incredible places there, but there was just something different about these buildings, like the way that the streets were structured, and like I said, the care of what was gone into for these buildings that were from earlier times. And you could almost just imagine, the people just opening up those shutters and just seeing the parks and breathing in the energy of the trees, and seeing what was going on. You could just put yourself up there. It was just beautiful. I finally found a restaurant that was open, which was great. So I trusted my feet, and I was like, I need to go get some food. That I sat down, and I saw. So here's the restaurant on one side of the street, and there was police across the other side of the road. And I learned a little bit about the police structure there as well, after talking to someone. So anyway, this policeman's there across the road, and I just watched this piece of plastic just dancing in the breeze, just watching. I was like, any minute now, it's going to land in front of him, and I'm going to get to see what he does. I mean, social experiment, right? Just watch people either step over litter, step on litter, or just not even look at it. Someone else's problem, right? Anyway, so this is this big piece of plastic just flying around in the air. And it did. It landed just next to him. And also next to a bike that had just been parked with a pizza. So it was like, I think it must have been like an Uber driver. And sure enough, he ignored it. This policeman completely ignored it. The protectors of humanity. And I saw it so many times in the countries I've been to. Policeman on the beat. He was on the corner, the plastic was there, and the bin was there. So, anyway, I got up. I just had to walk over. I picked it up. I put it in the bin. I was wearing no shoes at this point because I'd taken them off because I'd sat down to go to the restaurant. I guess, why am I telling you this? Because this was a common theme. This was a common theme where I just saw people not even care that this plastic was flying around in front of them. And yes, okay, there are people who are paid to pick this plastic up. They're paid to pick up the litter on the streets. And their point of view is, well, they've got the job to do, so let's clean it up. But if every single piece of litter takes 3 or 4 days to be picked up, that plastic ends up in the trees, it ends up in the breeze again, and it ends up in the lakes and the rivers and in the birds, etc. Like, it's not rocket science. If you see plastic, please pick it up, put it in the bin. So this was something that I just went back. I was a little bit, I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit like, oh, for goodness sake, like, this is the police force. Like, surely some education around, if you're not doing anything because you stood. He was on his phone, like, he didn't give a crap. He just was there because he was paid to be there, then I kind of breathe, cat, breathe, went to sit back down at my table, remembered how grateful I was to have had that opportunity to be the change I want to see first, but also to have witnessed that, to bring that awareness out there to the people, and to anyone watching this channel, sat down, I ordered a risotto, food was amazing. It was a mushroom risotto, really put a little bit too much chili oil on it, but I do remember it was incredible. And then this mother and son sat down in front of me, and it was his birthday. And they ordered their coffees, and she pulled out his present, and it was this handmade, this thing that she'd made, which was like painting on wood, and it was so beautiful. And I remember thinking, now that is a gift. That is a gift, you know. And the way that he was with her afterwards, like the tears in his eyes, the emotionally openness of receiving this incredible gift that his mother had given him. Yeah, I could tell that this birthday was a special one as well. You know, you can just sense it. The may not be able to speak in a language, but energy never lies. And it was just a really beautiful moment to witness. Anyway, I settled up my bill, pay it forward always, and it's even better when it's someone's birthday. You know, here I am in a country, and I know that my money goes a long way, right? Because you see how cost effective it is to live in some countries, and Argentina is ridiculously cost effective. So to me, buying 2 coffees for someone was like, I think it wasn't even $3 or $4. And yeah, so I did that, and then I kind of like, I just said, look, can you say happy birthday to the guy? And then I set along my way, and I was just like breathing in the trees. I was finally feeling like, oh, 100% again. And I was just, the smile was just on my face, just this incredible place I ended up. Like, I left the restaurant, and I was just like, come on then, show me where I need to go. And I ended up on this amazing street. And apparently my feet took me to Little Italy, because every street has a name, a place name, a country. And yeah, all of a sudden it was just very obvious that I was in the Italian suburb. And this street that I went to was just lined. One side was the park, and the other side, it was like the Avenue of Honor, Avenue of Honor that we have in Australia. You know, these beautiful, beautiful trees that just line the streets, and the people just having their coffee or reading a book. Again, I didn't see many people on their mobile phones. It was beautiful, like people just interacting with each other the way that the Spanish and the Italians do, very animated, and just, it was just, yeah, this amazing moment that I took a picture in my mind, and it's something that I feel very, very fondly about. And you know, the most incredible thing is, I looked up at this building and I couldn't stop looking at it, and I just felt like I'd been there before. It was a really surreal experience. And I got really emotional. All these tears started to come through. And then I heard, you know, don't cry for me, Argentina. And I was like, wow, am I feeling the energy of Evita here? Have I picked up the energy of what she left here? And then knowing that, you know, her story, and knowing that everything she did for the people. Of course, there was obviously some other ulterior motives there with getting herself into the political position where she could create change. But I was getting all these, and I use the buzzword of the century at the moment, is the downloads. I was getting all this information, you know, to just look in the eyes of some of the women here, and almost, you know, say with the soul, you know, it's going to be okay. Everything is okay. Because when everything happened, you know, I know she felt a lot of, I get a lot of anger towards the situation, and a lot of regret, because she knew that she was basically being put out to be a scapegoat, and what she set out to achieve, she was achieving, but there was so much underhandedness going on as well behind the scenes. It's an incredible story, and I applaud you to take the information from a few different sources. Don't look at what happened in the musical. Don't look at what happened, you know, from, you know, Wikipedia. Actually get out there and seek. If you're interested in Evita's story, in Eva's story, then go out and find the real one, because there are multiple versions out there. Or better still, just ask in your heart, you know, read her story, read her upbringing, understand where she was trying to come from. understand that she just had this passion to create change in her country, you know, and the situation that led to her demise, effectively. So anyway, here I am looking up at this building, tears in my eyes, this song in my head, and I just had to release. I just had to, let the tears just come and be released and flow. And I was really grateful that if that's the reason why I was guided there to do that, to release any ancestry trauma for whatever reason or whatever happened, I was there to do what that was. And I didn't care who saw me, because these tears were streaming out of my eyes. I couldn't have stopped them if I tried. Anyway, when I finally composed myself and it was time to start walking again, I stopped. I had a coffee, took a few breaths. I wrote some stuff down as well. And then I did the Ho'oponopono prayer with anyone that was in, soul-wise, that was in, you know, the arena. And because there's one thing you know about when you start working in this soul ferry of the soul space, is that you just feel it. The goosebumps are there, the energy is there. You know that they're there. You see things out the corner of their eye. You get channeled messages. You hear things. You start to see buildings look a different way than they did. All this stuff that comes up. And you know, I've been scared to talk about it, but I'm not anymore, right? Because this is my life now, and this is who I am. This is what I do. And I am so grateful to have tuned in to this gift and be able to have souls be at peace. And if I chose this in my soul contract to finally go through what I've gone through in the last couple of years, to truly tune into this and awaken to this, so I can help these souls pass over, I can help these souls be forgiven and say the words, I'm sorry, to those people that they hurt, then I am so grateful to be able to do that. Because when souls hanging around places and people because of promises or things that they want to say, you know, they get stuck. It's no different. They're just in a different dimension. We're stuck in the physical, they're stuck in the spiritual, and they have every right to have their say and have their voice just like we do. So yeah, it was an incredible moment for me. And I think it was a real eye-opener to what this journey was going to start to really unfold for me, you know, and to even trust it more. I learned the Ho'oponopono prayer from a beautiful, beautiful friend of mine, April, where we were at a breathwork. I guess you could call it. It ended up being this weekend of just soul family being super, super connected. But yeah, it was there to learn breathwork. And one of the exercises he did was to look everyone in the eyes and do the Ho'oponopono prayer. And the amount of tears that came through, because we carry these ancestral traumas, right? So I encourage you to go and research the Ho'oponopono prayer, research the blessings of these words if we say them to someone that we feel like maybe we need to. And even if we feel like we don't need to, just go ahead and do it anyway. It sets the vibration of the area. So if I feel like the energy is one of density, I see you, I hear you, I feel you, I forgive you. And I've made my own interpretation of it as well. And that's okay. And that can be flexible depending on where I am. And also depending on how much emotion comes up and how much ancestry stuff I am unpacking to where I am supposed to be. So yeah, here I am, and I've had my coffee and I'm ready to go walking again. So off I toddle, off I go, and I start to realize it's getting dark. And whilst I didn't feel the Pelagrosso energy from the day before, there is the chance that I don't know where I am. And maybe I need to start getting some way back. So just as I'm walking, going past the park, and I'm like, you know, please bring me someone who can help guide me home. Guide me back to a place that I recognize. Because I had no idea where I was. And this guy walked towards me, and he was wearing a Barcelona football jersey. Anyway, his name was Paolo. Actually, I'm going to go back a couple of steps. As I was walking, I saw this pizzeria on the side, and it was it smelled amazing. It took everything I had not to go in there. But this pizzeria was called Roma Rio, and for those of you who have listened to my awakening video, you would have heard about a man who I met who was very, very special to me. And his name is Rio. So, you know, here's my guidance. He's Italian and I'm in the Italian quarters. And here's this pizza place called Rio. And I'm like, I see you, I hear you, I feel you, I love you. I hope you're doing well. I'm sending you so much love right now. And whatever you're going through, just know that I've got you, you've got me. And this is what the journey's about. Right? Nothing that is meant for us ever passes us by. I meet this guy, Paolo. He can't speak a word of English other than food. Okay, so he's hungry, no problems. I said, you tell me, where do you want to go? You tell me, where do you want to eat? And he said, empanada. Of course, claro, we're in Argentina. And anyway, so off we go walking. Now, he has got a damaged leg, so he's on crutches. And we go walking, and yes, guess where we ended up? Romorio, of course. It's empanadas, but they use the pizza filling in the pizza and they make the empanadas, and it's wood fire, and it was amazing. But I sit there and he orders what he wants to order, and he got some takeaway as well, which I was fine with. And I had a beautiful interaction with the guys behind. It was a tiny, tiny little space, and there was lots of Spanish, Italian kind of energy going on there. Lots of passion, lots of flames from the wood fire, and just, yeah, it was a great experience. And on the menu, again, I'm here to follow the signs and the universal guidance. I knew I was completely aligned with being there with Paolo. He was the person I was supposed to meet, and he was the person I was supposed to give some food to and have this incredible moment with him. On the menu, I can't remember the full phone number. I've got a photo somewhere, but I do know it was 144 and then 444. So yeah, perfectly aligned. Here I'm supposed to be. Paolo and I kind of liaised along with Google Translate. And we managed. Anyway, he offered to walk me home. I'm like, why? What's the harm, right? I was looking for someone to guide me home, and we're talking as much as we can. I'm remembering as much Spanish as I can. It was very difficult, but, you know, lots of times he kept saying to me, we would stop. He's like, are you okay with me continuing to walk? You know, he would be like, me, keep walking. I said, yes. Let's keep walking and trying to talk. We walked past the botanical gardens, and then we realized we were walking around in circles, and I was like, no, not even the local knows where he's going. And I guess that comes down to a lot with lost in translation. So I said, Paolo, I think we need to stop someone and ask. So he did, and the first person he stopped was Alejandro. And Alejandro, basically he told me he was going out for dinner with some people he just met, and he'd been at Selena's 2 days before, and these people were also at Selena's, and did I want to join? So Paolo and I went our separate ways. I wished him so much love and gave him a kiss on the cheek, and he tapped the pizza box. He said, muchas gracias. You know, and then he went off, and then Alejandro and I went to the restaurant, which was I was just checking the time. We're at 23:31. Okay, I've got some time to carry on with the story. So we went to this restaurant, and I'm just like leaning in here. Okay, Alejandro, meet the people that he wanted to have dinner with. It was a beautiful restaurant, and I ended up having this curry. And when I ate this curry, man, it tasted like how my dad used to make curry. And I've never had another curry like my dad used to have curry. Now, when I landed in Buenos Aires, I saw a lady who looked the spitting image of my sister. My auntie, right? I could have gone, Auntie Jill, is that you? It wasn't, of course, because she's in Bristol in England. But then I started to realize, maybe I do have some, family over here. Maybe I do have some ancestry over here. Who knows? I'm European, right? And a solid old name in England, a solid old name in France, and Vikings and European conquests and blah, blah, blah. What's to say I don't have family here? And here I am tasting the very curry, the very taste of the curry, my dad. And not just that, the little chutney that went with it, everything just brought me back to my dad's curry. And, Dad loved to cook, which was a beautiful thing in our family. So it brought back a lot of memories, because I believe food can really teleport us back to memories, as can music. We've got photography as memories, yeah, but sometimes a taste, a smell, a sound takes us back to those memories. And sometimes they're amazing memories and sometimes they're not. But that's also sometimes the guidance, the spirit saying, this song takes you back to a darker place. It's okay to go back there and revisit it. And, Dad and I, we've had our issues, and somewhere along the line, I'm probably going to go into that. But this curry just brought me so much love. And yeah, just the moment of being lost and in panic, and then breathing through it and trusting the process. And now I'm eating a curry that tastes just like my old man's. Everything was just a sense of home, and it was just beautiful. And then these beautiful people that I just met, really high vibrational energy. They were younger, they were backpacking, but yeah, great stories, incredible countries they'd visited. And Alejandro was older, so we all had just different perspectives. It was really, really cool. And he'd just come over from El Salvador, and he decided to start his life in Argentina. So anyway, long story short, the owner came out and he's like, guys, you have just created so much energy, and I love you. And he got really emotional because we started talking about Messi. And he told me how Messi was like the Messiah almost for them in the football world, because Maradona had been Maradona, and he'd kind of sold himself and broken promises in what he'd planned to do, even though he was this, institutionalized figure. But Messi came forward. He was a family man. He was an honest man. He was a humble man, and he had nothing but faith. And as he's telling this story, and the emotion that was coming through to him, and he just, he was showing us his family in another country, and his baby that had just been born, his granddaughter, and he brings out this bowl of champagne, and he's just like, on the house, I just want you guys to enjoy it because I think you're awesome. So it was an amazing night. And then when we were on such a high vibe, we then went dancing. And this is where I realized I no longer like clubbing. Because even though it was incredible music, and it was long queues, people getting aggravated that they couldn't get in, small spaces, music that was different depending on where you were. We went to this one place that was kind of like under the bridge, and we ended up going to this club, and we kind of created our own dance floor in the bar. But then this guy came over, this bouncer, he's like, no bailar, no bailar. He's like, no dancing here. There's a dance floor there. And I'm like, yeah, but look at it. It's packed. No one can move. No one can dance. And he said, I'm sorry, but no dancing. It's dangerous. And I looked around and there was no one there. And then the boys came over and they're like, what is the problem? I'm like, no, it's okay. He's just doing his job. I'm pretty sure he doesn't even want to tell us no dancing, Anyway, we ended up going outside, finding a little corner. I just found my corner, danced like no one was watching. It was weird. And as I was dancing, so many things were coming up for me and so many things were clearing. So, and information was coming through about Alejandro. So, every time I was dancing and then I was like talking to him, he's like, how are you getting this information? How do you know this? You've just met me. I was laughing. I'm like, because it's coming through, because my channel's clear, because I'm just like vibing so high right now. And then we all ended up like going our separate ways. And then Alejandro said to me, he said, will you marry me tomorrow? I said, I'm not getting married to you, Alejandro. He's like, please, will you be my wife just for one day? I'm like, I'm here for 2 or 3 days. Tomorrow I have plans with Noelia. He's like, please be my wife, be my girlfriend, be my partner. Let me show you the city from what I know about it for one day. I was like, you know what? Why not? You're a good looking man. And not that it's about looks, but you're a nice guy. You're a really beautiful guy. And so I've been guided to you for a reason. So yeah, sure. Let's hang out tomorrow. But one condition. He's like, what? No mobile phones. So what do you mean? No mobile phones. Let's just be present. Let's do something radical. Not plan, just no mobile phones. And he said, you know that's my addiction, don't you? I said, yeah, I do. He's like, how do you know? I said, because I've got your grandma here and she's telling me no mobile phones. So fine, let's do this. No mobile phones. And I'm going to leave it there because that's when the night ended. And yeah, the next episode is going to be about that date day and about what we did, about what we talked about grandma, you know, his messages and grounding and just basically going through the motions of the day and the beauty about being present with someone and the change in what that looks like. So yeah, thank you very much for tuning in. It's 30 minutes long, this one. Sorry, I don't really care about time too much, but obviously I'm very conscious that we live in a society where everyone is always trying to rush. But at the same time, you can stop, you can pause, you can do whatever. That's the beauty of video, right? So much love, and I'll speak to you soon.